Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a little bit different. I do not have a reading video for you today, and I know it's been quite a while since I have posted, but I am really excited about today's video and the next few videos, hopefully. Hopefully I can get those out a little bit quicker than this one. But today I will be talking to you guys mostly about my experience at the Realm Makers Conference, because if you saw the title, then you'll know that it was, that's what this video is about. But first of all, because it is July 3rd and I'm filming this, happy Independence Day. Happy 250th anniversary. I don't know if you can see my shirt. A new word that I learned this year is the word semi-quincentennial, which basically means the 250th anniversary of something. And that is the anniversary of America's quarter millennium birthday. So very excited about that. So like today is a little bit of, talking a little bit about Independence Day just at the top here. Question for all of you guys in the comments: what are you doing for Independence Day? Here in a couple of hours, my mom and I are actually about to go and see the new Young Washington film that Angel Studios is putting out, so I'm excited to go see that because it's got a lot of cool actors in it. It's got Joel Smallbone from For King and Country, heck yeah. It's got Andy Serkis in it. Love Andy Serkis, so I'm really excited to see like him in this movie. But yeah, I'm sure that it's gonna be a good movie. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited about that. And then tomorrow, for the actual 4th of July, my plans are going to the next town over from mine to go see their 4th of July parade, because their parade is amazing every year. And I've gone there, like, not every year necessarily, but like I remember going there a lot as a kid, and I just have a lot of nostalgia with this parade, so I'm really excited. So and then we're going to my cousin's for like a nice little get together in the evening. I bought a cookie cake that is really cute, and it's got like, red, white, and blue decorated all over it, and I'm excited about it. But yeah, I feel extra special, extra excited for that this year, and I'm just grateful that I get to live in this amazing country at the time that I'm living here. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to ask you guys, you viewers, like, what are your 4th of July plans? And also, like, what is like a nostalgic tradition that that you have, like, sorry, that was my coffee. It could be an old tradition, it could be a new tradition. Like I would say, like, one of my favorite kind of newer traditions is like before going to the 4th of July parade, which is kind of an old tradition. One of my favorite things to do is like go to the donut shop down the street and like get some donuts, especially ones that have like the 4th of July like sprinkles, and just kind of bring those and maybe get like a coffee or something. So it's kind of like a mix of the old with the new, so it's, yeah, exciting. So anyway, let me know what fun traditions or new traditions that you're wanting to make for this year. Yeah, it's exciting. And of course, I do love a good fireworks show. I just haven't been to a good one in a while. Our town usually has one, but it's like the week after for some reason, because they don't want to compete with the next town over. I don't get it. But I will say the best fireworks display that I have ever experienced was when I used to live in Redding, California, when I attended BSSM. And I have mentioned living in Redding before a little bit, which I do want to do a video, by the way, on that, on like living in Redding and like BSSM and like my time there, because that was such an incredible time in my life. But anyway, Redding has the most amazing fireworks display ever. And the last year that I lived there, my brother and his roommates and I and some other friends, like, we went and sat on the lawn of the Civic Center that is there in Redding and watched them shoot off fireworks. And like the fireworks were like behind the building is where they were shooting them off. And it felt like it was like the most magical fireworks experience I have ever experienced in my life. It felt like I was within like this dome of like exploding light, and it was so pretty. It was so magical. There was like a cover band playing Journey songs, and it was so magical. So anyway, highly recommend if you are in the Redding, California area, or, you know, if, you know, you just have been wanting to travel there, or like you're in California, go there because it's really fun. And I don't think that you have to pay anything either. You can just walk on in there. You just have to find a seat on the grass. Anyway, we're talking about Realm Makers. So for those of you who don't know about Realm Makers, it is a like Christian run conference, and it's also an expo. So it's two different things. It is a like Christian writers conference, I should say. And then there's also an expo that's kind of a part of it. So it's kind of like part writers conference, part nerd convention, but like in the best way. It's like the Christian version of Comic-Con, essentially. Which is good because I don't think that I would be able to go to Comic-Con, especially in today's society. But this was like, you know, like, so if you're like maybe a parent and your kid loves to cosplay, and like you're trying to, you know, like, and you know, raise them in like a Christian household, this is like a really good alternative because everyone's like so game for dressing up and having fun. And like, you know, and I'm not saying that every single person at this conference or expo is like explicitly like Christian, but it definitely is a safer environment. And I experienced like nothing but just, you know, just peace. Just a really good time. So yeah, so let me, I didn't really plan this video, so let me try to back it up. How did I hear about Realm Makers? How did I hear about it? And also, if you guys are curious and wanting to see like any pictures or videos that I took, if you're new here, hi. And if, you know, you don't know kind of how my channel works, I don't do editing. I just turn on the camera. I maybe kind of like edit out the little bit at the beginning where I turn the camera on, and then like at the end where I turn the camera off, but I do completely uncut. And it kind of helps me with just talking, and it also helps me keep an eye on like, okay, how much time have I spent talking? So, and it's just, this is just like my low stakes way of also having a YouTube channel. And I don't have to have the extra pressure of like, oh, I have to edit for like 10 hours to get this video out. No. So, you know, and also I feel like a lot of us have, you know, super short attention spans nowadays. And I feel like this kind of video is only for certain people. And that's fine, you know? And I think some of my viewers, I don't know if this is actually true or not, like probably use this as more like a podcast where they just put it on in the background. And I'm fine with that. That's cool. I love having a podcast on in the background. And I sometimes do that with certain YouTube videos. So, you know. So anyway, Realm Makers. And also like if you want to see those pictures and videos I took, I am thinking about making like, excuse me, like shorter form, like reels, YouTube shorts. Just because I like to edit, like if I'm going to do something short term, excuse me, that was me drinking coffee. I like to edit those kinds of short form things on like TikTok or Instagram. So good. But anyway, so if you want to see actual footage and pictures from the event, I will be compiling those into shorter form videos and doing like voiceover. But for now, I'm just going to be talking about the event. So anyway, how did I hear about Realm Makers? So slowly over these past few years, I have been kind of slowly getting to know certain people in the sphere of Christian indie publishing, specifically indie, because I think for the longest time, I just had decided, you know what, I'm gonna independently publish my books when they come out, because nothing, like, I wasn't really finding any, like, good publishers that were publishing, like, actual good stuff or stuff by Christian authors. And slowly but surely, I did start, you know, like, having these other, like, these certain publishing companies kind of, like, catch my eye that were actually Christian run, and they were, like, publishing books by Christian authors. And so the first of these was Enclave Publishing. I don't know exactly how I found out about them, but it was just like the more I kind of got into the realm of like following and interacting with like these Christian indie authors, such as, I will name a few. So like Hannah Sandvig, she is Christian. She doesn't explicitly like her fiction isn't considered like Christian fiction, which I don't think that you have to publish explicitly like Christian fiction, but like, you know, but like publishing good stories though. Good stories that are safe for young readers, or like they're safe but also like really good storytelling alternatives to what's out there. So for example, Hannah Sandvig, I feel like she does that really well. She publishes like the coziest and sweetest of cozy fantasy. She was kind of like my first introduction into this world of like independent publishing done well, where it's just like, oh, like I can actually release books that are like good quality and pretty, and like the content is good. So Hannah Sandvig was kind of my first like author that I experienced in this way. Huh, interesting. Sorry, I'm seeing cars drive by outside of my window. And then next, like slowly, I kind of got to know like these other authors. Like, then I started following Erin Phillips, which I have talked about on this channel. D.E. Carlson, Kara Swanson. I think I've mentioned her maybe in like another video somewhere back there. But Kara Swanson, she, I believe, was like the first person that I like kind of started following that mentioned, or she's published by Enclave Publishing. And that was how I first found out about this publishing house. And I was like, there's an actual publishing house that like releases like cool looking books. And trust me, if you own an Enclave book, or if you've seen me talk about these books, they are really amazing. They publish obviously paperbacks, but their hardcovers are the coolest things ever. Like, the cover design is always like immaculate, and then if you like pull off the dust jacket and look at like the quote unquote naked hardcover, they always have the coolest designs underneath. Like, it's so darn pretty. Anyway, so anyway, Kara Swanson was kind of my first, like, she was the author that kind of like opened the gateway to this world of Enclave Publishing. And then, just because of the association of like Enclave Publishing and then also following D.E. Carlson, kind of from both of those doorways, I would say I found out about Realm Makers, because I think Kara had gone maybe last year or something, and then D.E. Carlson also went last year, and she also came this year, but more on that later. I found out about this conference, and I was like, this looks so cool. And last year I really, really wanted to go, but I kind of found out about it too late. It was like a month prior. And at the time, my financial situation was not great. And I was just like, I'm going to have to save up. I'm just going to have to save up. We're doing this. And then, but I did kind of like find out about it and learn about it. And it looked really cool. Like, I wanted to learn more, you know, because you can never take too many writing classes. Even if you're an author who has been published like 20 times, there's always more things to learn. And there's also like more people to meet, you know. And that was, okay, sorry. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of traffic out there, by the way. Sorry if I keep getting distracted. But yeah, there's always like more to learn. And so this year, you know, which as you guys have known, like, and I've mentioned in previous videos, like, you know, last year was pretty rough. Two members of my family passed away. So that was like really rough. And so it's like this kind of spring, kind of leading into like this summertime, you know, there was a whole thing of like dealing with like cleaning out my grandparents' house and stuff like that. So that was a whole thing. But, you know, and then, but thankfully, like there was some bright spots. Like, I got a job at a florist shop, and I've mentioned that before too, and started making money, and like just, you know, things starting to look up. And then I saw D.E. Carlson posting about Realm Makers again, and I was like, you know what, I think it's time that I go, you know. And so I signed up for it. And this year they were in St. Louis, Missouri, which is really cool. I was excited to go to St. Louis, and They were at this really amazing hotel, which is called the Union Station Hotel. It's run by Hilton. And of course, because like if you get a Railmakers ticket and then you book the hotel through the Railmakers website, you get a discount on both your room and also parking, because parking you have to pay for, unfortunately. And thankfully, I was able to book one of the last rooms. However, because it was one of the last rooms available, it was a room that had 2 beds in it, which is kind of funny to me. But I was just like, it's a room, and if I don't like one bed, I can always sleep in the other. That's, hey, there we go. But so anyway, I just made the decision to do that, to, get my Railmakers ticket. And what's cool is like when you get the ticket to the conference, you also get access, you get the VIP access to the expo. And the expo is more of the fan convention side of things. They have panels. They're not really like classes, they're more like panels where you can ask people questions. And there's also a lot of vendors and that kind of thing. So yeah. So yeah, what else could I tell you about Railmakers? I would say, like, if anybody has any questions that I didn't cover in this video, please, like, just leave a question in the comments. And like, because I am gonna make a couple more videos about Railmakers, and I want to show y'all my book haul, as well as the other items that I purchased, because yeah. But which surprisingly, you may be thinking like, oh, that girl definitely went over her budget. And guess what? I did. I only went over by $30 though. So I'm really proud of myself for that. And I actually like kept diligent track of my spending on this trip. And I was really shocked that I did not go as over my budget as I thought, which I will not be saying how much my budget was, just because there's things I want to keep private, but just know I hardly went over it. I went like less than $50 over it. So, hey, it is a win. A win is a win, guys. A win is a win. So anyway, I think I'm going to try to tell y'all some things that maybe like might be helpful if you're thinking of going to Railmakers and maybe you need this help, because the thing is, and I feel comfortable talking about it now, because another reason why I didn't come out with a video before I went on the trip or even post about it on Instagram was because I did this trip by myself as a single woman in her late 20s who, should I say, I was homeschooled. I was very, awkward, a bit sheltered, and like it was, I didn't make friends as easily. And so like, and even though like obviously like, if you're someone who knows me or has been on this channel all the time, you're thinking like, well, didn't she live in California for a while? And yes, that was that was like, I consider that one of my brave things that I did. That was like me definitely getting out of my shell. But it's been a few years and I'm back home in Texas, and I feel like since BSSM I haven't really truly branched out to do something that's like kind of brave or like adventurous on my own in a while. And so the Lord on this, this time was like, hey, it's time to kind of, like, I know the whole moving to California, that was a big brave thing to do kind of by yourself, but let's do another thing. Let's do another thing, and I'm going to be with you. So, it's different steps. It's different times and seasons, and it's different things, because it's like, because another thing is like when I moved to California, I did have someone take that very long drive with me, like that 1,500 mile drive with me each time. So like I wasn't doing that drive alone and like lugging all my stuff to move. Like I always had help. But this was like the first time I ever made a really, really long drive by myself, besides like driving to my grandparents in East Texas, which is about 3.5 hours. Like this was even longer than that, and I was doing it by myself, and it was the trip to Missouri was pretty scary a little bit, because I had no idea what I was doing and I was just trying to stay safe. And you know, and it's like I had to look out for myself. I didn't have a friend going with me because I do have friends. I do have some amazing friends. Shout out to Erin and Alyssa. But my friend Erin, she actually lives in Virginia, so like, you know, and then my friend Alyssa, and it's like, you know, we're in different parts of our lives where it's like, you know, weren't, you know, not able to join me for like this writing conference. This was something that I knew I had to do. It's not something that was like meant for them to do. You know, and I kind of knew that like God was just like, hey, you can do this, and you can do this by yourself, and like you're gonna prove yourself wrong. So anyway, all that to say, the trip was a little bit nerve-wracking at first because you know, I was driving by myself. I did hit some really bad weather in Oklahoma, and I'm really glad that I didn't learn until after I got home from my trip that technically the storm that I was experiencing was worse than I actually had thought it was. Like from what my mom says, and which my mom, she has my location always to track me, and I have hers, just a safety thing. And I remember like when I had gotten back, we were talking about that storm, which if you guys are curious, like, okay, when did this storm happen? So I was driving to Railmakers. Railmakers was the 24th through the 27th. The 24th is technically like the first day. There's like a pre-conference session. It's not really like, it's optional. So like I could skip it if I wanted to. And I got to St. Louis late on the 24th. So, you know, technically the real dates of the conference are the 25th through the 27th. So it's those 3 days. So I started my journey on the 23rd from Texas. I drove to Tulsa, which is technically my halfway point, and I stayed in a hotel. And then the next day I drove, so Tulsa was maybe about a 5.5 hour drive, and then to St. Louis from Tulsa, it's about 6 to 6.5 hours, and that does not include stops on either of those. And so anyway, on my first day drive to Tulsa, this was the 23rd of June, I hit the worst storm I have ever experienced driving, in any time, whether I'm with somebody or not. The rain was so, like, thick. I could hardly see a few feet in front of my car. And I was driving through, like, these puddles that were just, like, it was just, like, so much water, so much rain. And I was driving these kind of, like, I don't know why my maps took me this way. In hindsight, there's so many things I could have done differently, but I'm just grateful that the hand of God, like the hedge of protection, was around me, because I know some of you people in the comments would probably be like, oh my gosh, what the heck, girl, what, save the judgments for later, please. just save them, because guess what, I'm alive and I'm okay. And I was praying in tongues the entire time. Like the entire time I was like white knuckling my steering wheel. And there was a time where it started sleeting, and I don't say it was hailing because it wasn't like heavy enough, like they weren't like big enough, but it was definitely sleeting. And in my mind I'm thinking, do I need to try to like find like a carport to pull under? But I did pass a few, but it was just like, I don't know, I was just being kind of stubborn with myself, because I was like, I want to get to Tulsa tonight. I'm not going to sit under a carport for 5 hours. Again, in hindsight, should have done something different, but anyway. So after the fact, this is like when I got home. Then this actually was a few days ago. This was the 29th of June, by the way, when I got home. I was talking to my mom and everything, and she was like, yeah, I didn't want to scare you, but the radar was showing all this red and like these hook echoes, and like, which if you don't know what hook echo is, that basically means that there is potential for a tornado to form, which I was worried about, like seeing a tornado just pop out of nowhere. I was worried about that, but thankfully my mom did not tell me that there was a bunch of hook echoes around me, because then I would have freaked out more. The basic summary of the story is that I made it, and I was safe, and I, not gonna lie, I like started tearing up and crying when the storm passed and the sun came out, and I was just like, thank you, Jesus, like, yeah. But the thing is like, despite all of that craziness that I went through, it showed me that I could do this by myself, and that I wasn't alone, if you know what I mean. Like, God was with me. And, you know, and I hope that this story, you know, just inspires anybody, especially if you're a young woman and like you're still single and maybe you're getting up there, you're in your late 20s or early 30s. Like, there's still adventurous things that you can do. Like, you don't have to wait to have a friend go with you or have a spouse. Like, you can do it. And this isn't like some sort of feminist thing of like, oh, well, I can do it, I'm independent, I don't need no man. This was more like, I don't have anyone physically with me, even though I wish that someone was physically with me to help me and like help me carry things and like help me drive. But it's just like, I can still do it. I can still do it while I'm physically alone, but spiritually I have Jesus with me. I have my Heavenly Father with me. So I hope that that encourages somebody. I just realized that I'm like almost 30 minutes in. And, excuse me, we haven't even gotten to the conference. So anyway, I'm going to try to give y'all some helpful tips throughout this video. So helpful tip number 1. So finally get to St. Louis and everything's working out, which the second day of travel was much better. There was a little bit of rain, but it was mostly sunny. And technically, so this is the 24th. I was driving away from Tulsa and I was technically driving away from another storm that was coming in. And so the storm was technically chasing me, but guess what? I was faster than the storm because I had a good car and the car had a sport mode, which what's actually funny is I never used the sport mode in my car, but she's still fast. She's fast. So yeah. So anyway, I get to St. Louis, and another thing that I think I had been kind of worrying over myself with was like, you know, because I don't know what it's like to book a hotel. I genuinely don't know. I don't know how hotel parking works, which you're probably thinking like, girl, it's just easy. You just park there and the blah, 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 you do this. I don't know. I didn't, like, I was stressing myself out, like looking through all the reviews of this hotel, trying to figure out like, okay, well, do I just like, cause I think like I overthink things. And in my mind, I was like, there's gotta be like something extra that I gotta do. Turns out all I had to do was just pull into the parking lot, take the ticket, and then go and, you know, make sure I tell the hotel where I'm parked. And they give you like these little validation tickets, and they're like, hey, so like, you know, and don't worry, like, you know, you got the Railmaker's price, you'll still get the Railmaker's, like, you know, because I wasn't sure, like, how do I get the discount for parking? Like, that was another thing, was like, how do I do that? Turns out, just let the front desk know, and like, they, trust me, they add it to the total at the end. And yeah, so there wasn't really anything I needed to worry about on that note. But hey, I didn't know. This is like all stuff that I was like very ignorant about. And I don't mean ignorant in like a mean way, but just like, I didn't know. Like, I think like before this trip, I tried so hard to like plan out my route and like plan for every possible stop, every possible like obstacle. And something that I learned is like, you really can't. And I think like in my journey home, so my road trip back home, which was on the 28th and 29th of June, it was a lot more chill because I was just like, you know what, it's gonna be fine, you know, because I had actually like planned out all the different like gas stations to stop at, because that was another thing I was concerned about, was like, I want to make sure that the gas stations that I stop at are safe, that, you know, like they're clean and they're safe and there's not going to be any weird people hanging around. Or it's like, you can't plan for that, you just kind of have to go with your gut. And you just, you know, and also be aware and like look, you know, like, does the gas station look pretty good? Yeah, sure. You know, and so like, I think I stopped at more gas stations that I hadn't like planned on stopping at on my way home than on the way there, because it's just like making that judgment call and just kind of going with the flow. So I learned how to go with the flow on my way back. And also, what's very helpful for Texas residents, if you're wanting to go to St. Louis, there is a Buc-ee's in Springfield. And I actually had no idea about this. I just saw it as a sign on the road. So, hey, that's another thing, is like learn how to like just be attentive on the road and like look at the roadside signs, because sometimes they will help you. Because I didn't know that there was a Buc-ee's in Springfield, and I passed through Springfield to get to St. Louis, and guess what? I got to stop at a Buc-ee's, you know? So, highly recommend the Buc-ee's in Springfield. Heck yeah. And that was like a really great stop. And also their bathrooms are amazing and their gas was actually pretty cheap. So highly recommend. That was another thing is I was really glad of was my car gets really good gas mileage. So yeah, and I pretty much stayed within my gas budget too as well. So I will tell you my gas budget because I was able to look up the gas mileage of my car, which is a Ford Escape, and I had when I was making up my budget, I was like, okay, it looks like it'll take around maybe $200 for gas. I I stayed pretty much within that budget. I only went over, like, I think I spent like $204 and some change. So like my gas budget was pretty solid. And also that is, and I should say that's not just the trip there, that is like round trip how much it costs for gas. So it was really, really fuel efficient. So at least I hope it was. I don't know. Maybe that to me it is. I'm not a car person, but it's pretty good to me. So anyway, other tips about the hotel, and who knows, maybe this is something that you're just like, duh, but hey, if you're a first time traveler or like someone who doesn't get out that much and you're just like, this is the first time I'm ever trying this, and like and I'm by myself, here's some helpful tips. The front desk was really kind at this hotel. Something that I wish that I could have done was get a luggage cart and take it over to the so this is the west parking lot, by the way. So if you're like wanting to go to this hotel, which is the Union Station Hotel in St. Louis, it's run by Hilton. Yeah, don't do what I did and not get a luggage cart, because I think I just didn't want to go all the way to walk, because it is a little bit of a walk still, because the hotel is huge. But I was in technically the closest parking lot. I don't know why, and I think I had already started pulling out my luggage, so I was just like, I'm just gonna lug my luggage. Don't do that. I got so sweaty and disgusting lugging my luggage in the heat, and my arms were so sore the next day. So take that extra time, go check in at the front desk, get a luggage cart, go back to the parking lot, and then so if I end up going next year to Railmakers, it's going to be at the same hotel, by the way. I will definitely be getting that luggage cart. And the reason why I didn't do I also just didn't want to do valet parking because that costs more. So but it's okay, just go, get those extra steps in, get the luggage cart, because trust me, it's a better idea. Because it tired me out like way more lugging all of my luggage with me. Because another thing that I did was I had an empty suitcase. Well, I had my regular suitcase that held my clothes and stuff, and then I had an empty suitcase because I was like, I know I'm going to buy a bunch of books and souvenirs, which I did. But my empty suitcase was full of water bottles, because the hotel does give you water bottles, but it's only 2. And I had seen in the reviews that there was no water bottle refill stations in this hotel. Newsflash, there is one, but it's in a certain part of the hotel that takes a while to walk to. So this is just what I would recommend, is buying your own like 24 pack of waters and bringing them with you. It is going to be extra to lug up, but again, get the luggage cart and you're going to be fine. But I had brought it was like a 12 pack of alkaline waters, because alkaline water is really good for you. And I wanted those extra like electrolytes and stuff. And I think each bottle was like a liter. So it's like, even though it's a 12 pack, a liter each is pretty big. And those lasted me the entire trip, by the way. And I put those in my mini fridge. And, each morning I would wash my water cup, refill it. I had an ice machine on my floor, so I was good. So anyway, I get up to the room. I'm like super tired and sweaty. I feel gross and stinky, and I want to take a shower. And this was actually just funny. And funny at first is it almost made me cry, but then ended up making me laugh later. But I was like, okay. And I had also brought some groceries with me, because part of my food budget was I didn't want to like spend money at the restaurants every day. So I brought some breakfast items with me. And one of those items was like some yogurts, and they needed to be chilled pretty quickly. So I opened the mini fridge and I'm like, this thing doesn't feel cold. And I kind of like looked under the TV cabinet and like, I was just like, I don't know where the plug for this thing is, but it seemed to be plugged in but not working. And what's funny is my family just went through a whole thing where like our old fridge broke and we had to live out of coolers for like 2 weeks. And then like because for some reason like Lowe's was like, hey, yeah, we're not gonna deliver the heck, sorry, there's another car driving past. I don't know, I always get weird when I see like cars slowing down. I'm like, what are you doing? But like, what's happening? But anyway, yeah, but Lowe's for some reason were like, we're not going to be able to deliver your fridge until this date. So anyway, but it got delivered and everything worked out. But it was just, I felt like this immediate defeat when the mini fridge didn't work. And I was just like, God, I just want to take a shower and rest. And so I went down to the front desk. I hated bothering them because I didn't want to, like, something that I don't like, it's like, I know that they're there to serve and help, but I never want to be that person that's like a rude customer. Because I've been on that other side. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I worked at Party City before in my past. I know how mean people can be. And I never want to be that to anybody, like, at all. So I never want to appear rude or just, even though I was definitely frustrated, but I was just like, I literally was just like praying, like, Lord, please, I do not want to be mean to these people. I don't want to come off as rude because I was like tired and frustrated, but I didn't want that to be projected towards the front desk people. So anyway, there was like a whole confusion thing that happened, but thankfully in the end, and also because they couldn't move rooms because they were pretty booked up, so I had to stay in that room, they sent the maintenance guy up, which is this really cool guy. I wish I could remember his name. He was cool. He had like a gold chain. He literally came up with a new mini fridge, since they couldn't have me move rooms for, whatever reason. And so, and I had to be in the room. So at first I had just gone and was like, I'm going to go check in at the conference while they get my mini fridge fixed. But at this hotel, they're actually very respectful of your privacy. And so like, if you are not in the room, and also, like, if you have the do not disturb sign on, which I can't remember if I did or not. I think I did. They will not enter your room, which really thankful for. And me, I'm just that kind of private person, and I've heard stories of, like, cleaning staff stealing stuff and all that stuff. And also, I just don't like the idea of people being in my room when I'm not there. So I had the do not disturb sign on the entire time I was there. But for this time, I had to go back up to the room, and I was just like, okay, send the maintenance guy back up there. So he comes up, he's really chill. He's got like this extra mini fridge that he's brought up. And so I kind of tell him what happened, and he's like opening it. He's like, yeah, it's not really working. And then, so instead of looking under the TV cabinet like I had done, he does what I should have done, and he looks over the edge of the TV cabinet behind it, over the top. And guess what he finds? It wasn't plugged in. This entire time I was like frustrated and dealing with all this stuff, and it wasn't plugged in. And so it's funny, me and him had a good laugh about it, and then he was like, okay, like, you need anything else? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to wait for it to cool down. And he left. I mean, that was really sweet. They were willing to change out my mini fridge, but yeah, it wasn't plugged in. And I was like, I knew that if I didn't laugh, I would just cry. So I just laughed, and I just broke out into like belly laughs. And then I texted my mom, and I was just like, you're not going to believe what just happened. I felt like, and also in my mind, I'm just like, does this guy think that I'm just like the dumbest like female tourist? Like, what? To be fair, I was tired. I was frustrated. I didn't think to look in every nook and cranny to see if this thing was plugged in or not. But now I know, So like, if you guys are wondering, if you want to take away any other helpful tips from this video, make sure the mini fridge is plugged in. make sure the mini fridge is plugged in before you go down to the front desk and have the maintenance guy bring up an extra one, because it might just not be plugged in. So anyway, thankfully I was able to chill my water bottles and my yogurts, and I had also got some fruit, so I had like a couple of apples that I wanted to chill. My goodness, so much traffic. So anyway, that ended up working out. I don't know if any of these tips are actually helpful to anybody, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah. And also, yeah, so that's pretty much it. They also had, they had some really great toiletries in the bathroom, by the way, which the really nice bathrooms. I will definitely be showing you guys, in a short form video, like what my room looked like, the bathroom. The bathroom was really cool. It had the coolest makeup mirror. And they had like whole bottles of like shampoo, body wash, conditioner, all the things, like just kind of like attached to the walls. So it's like technically I didn't even need to unpack my toiletries, but I like using my toiletries. What the heck is going on out there? I know I keep seeing people like drive by and stop. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what? My gosh, this is so funny. I know I'm like doing a little bit of creeping, a little bit of investigating. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so at Realmmakers, they give you a really cool badge. So let me get to the actual Realmmakers part of this video. Really cool badge and a very simple, just, you know, plastic thing, which these are a bunch of business cards that I collected. So obviously I had this. It says, "I'm just here for the books." I could write like a tagline, and that's truly what I was there for. And, you know, I wrote that, you know, I'm an author, and I wrote my, so it's Tirza Joy Adcock. So quick story about that. My middle name was supposed to be Joy when I was born, but my parents didn't want me to get bullied because tears of joy, you know. And also my mom had felt pressure from other family members to do the name Lorraine, because I think it was like my dad's grandma or whatever, I don't know. But Joy has always stuck with me and been an important part of my life, and been such like a kind of a God connection. And so Joy means more to me than Lorraine. Sometimes I even forget that that's my middle name. So at some point I would love to actually add Joy to my middle name. I don't know if I'm going to get rid of Lorraine or not. I haven't decided. And what's cool is when I checked in, they were like, yeah, we love to decorate our name tags with stickers. And it's like stickers that represent genres that we write, which I put all of them on there because first of all, I love stickers. And secondly, I actually do want to write, like I have multiple story ideas that take place in different genres. But yeah, so the one, first of all, that means that I'm a first year. And then secondly, so kind of going down here, so this is like a little blimp that represents like steampunk gas lamp stories. Kind of takes, you know, yeah, just kind of steampunky kind of stories. This one is fantasy. This one is a wolf, and I believe that means high fantasy or dark fantasy. This one is like superheroes, which I actually do have a cool superhero story idea. The spaceship is sci-fi. This one, like with the cityscape, is like dystopian. And then I think the dragon is like, dragon is more like a high fantasy thing, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, cool name tag. Oh my gosh, there's like so many cars driving by. Gosh. Anyway, but yeah, and so like the tag, you know, gets you in places. I think like the one thing that I wish that I could have brought with me is like, see here, this little slit. So when I was at BSSM, you could technically put your name tag on a lanyard, but they had these little like plastic like clippy thingies where you could like clip it to your shirt. And I am more used to that method of wearing a name tag rather than having this on my neck. And like, not that it was like putting a lot of weight on my neck or anything, but it's just, to me, it's just like one more kind of extra thing that I didn't like wearing. So if you're that kind of person that likes having the more clippy clip thing to like your lapel, I would recommend getting like one of those little clippy things, Because, yeah, I really. And what's funny is I still have kept those little clip thingies. And when I saw like this, I was like, dang it, I should have brought the little clip thing because I had thought about it, but I didn't. So if you're that type of person, then, bring one of those instead so you don't have to deal with the clumsy kind of lanyard. Or if you don't like this type of, lanyard, then, bring your own lanyard as well, because I think a few people did. But, anyway, so, that's just another bit of advice as well. Man, also that hotel is like huge, and there was a lot of like food options as well, I will say. Um, and something to note is that the hotel is very big. Excuse me, it takes a while to walk anywhere. So keep that in mind, and also wear good walking shoes. So I had like two pairs of tennis shoes. I had like my regular kind of black tennis shoes. They're like my Skechers. I wear those to work. They're very comfortable. And then I had like these kind of higher up, like they kind of, they made me taller by like maybe like 1 or 1.5 inches. I had these really cool Dr. Scholl's tennis shoes, and they were very comfortable to wear. So yeah, make sure you have really good comfy shoes to walk around in, because this hotel is huge. I won't even try to explain the layout. But yeah, and I can't wait to show y'all the video in short format, but of just how grand this hotel is. Like the architecture is so rich, because it used to be this, train station, and it made me think of Grand Central Station, because the Grand Hall is just there's so much detail. It's so rich and beautiful, and like the colors just, oh yeah. But yeah, so there's a couple of restaurants within the hotel. There's a place called the Station Grill. It's kind of, if you take, there's two different hallways on either side of the check-in desk. And so that's there. It's a little bit high end, but like it still had some great food options. I think the first night I was like, I wanted real food, and I wanted like greens, because I've been eating like nothing but like snacks and fast food on the road. um yeah, which I mean wasn't terrible, but I was just like, yeah, I just needed real food. And I would say the harvest salad on the Station Grill menu is amazing. Best $20 salad I have ever eaten. Only $20 salad I have ever eaten, but it was so good. I ate like every bite of it. It was so good. And then they also have something that's like a Missouri specialty, which is called toasted ravioli. And I had actually learned about that from Ryan Trahan on his 50 States in 50 Days series. So highly recommend toasted ravioli. It's so good. What else is there? There's so much to say, and I'm like almost an hour into this. But yeah, which I need to do like a list of like food recommendations as well. Maybe I can do that in the description and just write down like these are the places that I stopped at, because there was also this really great burger place in Oklahoma that I stopped at my first day. It's called Burgerland, and it's in a town called Davis. Oh my god, it's like the perfect hole in the wall place that you want to stop at on a road trip. And it was so good. Like the fries were amazing, the burger was perfect, the wait staff were just so sweet, and just it was like the perfect like hometown like diner burger place to stop at. Just yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so like the hotel that I stayed in also is like surrounded by restaurants, and it's like there's like an aquarium there. There's like all this, and there's like these fun rides nearby. So there's like an aquarium, there's a Ferris wheel, there's a carousel, there's all these other rides, there's mini golf, and there's also a bunch of restaurants as well, kind of high end and also like more reasonably priced. There's a place called the Soda Fountain that is so adorable, and if you are an Adventures in Odyssey fan, if you were one of those homeschoolers that grew up with Odyssey, it looks like Wits End on the inside. There was another place called the Taco Container, which that was probably had the best prices, because it was probably the cheapest. It was like a fish taco for like $4. Really good. Highly recommend. And um, although I will say it was really hot the day that I tried the taco container. And so, like, even though the taco was amazing, I did not physically feel good. I mean, well, not like because of the food or anything, but it was just like, it was just hot and gross. And I was like, I just want to go inside. But the taco was amazing. So I would recommend eating in the shade or taking it back with you into the hotel, into the air conditioning, because St. Louis is hot and humid as heck. So bad. Um, but yeah, so I recommend pretty much any of the restaurants that are around, even the ones that I didn't actually personally visit. There's a place called Landry's, I believe. It's like Landry Seafood, and then there's a place called the Train Shed. Those two I did not go to, but they looked amazing. Um, Let me think. I'm trying to think of like other kind of bits of advice that I could give y'all for this. Um, but yeah, and it's just, and it's also like keeping track of the time, because it takes forever to walk anywhere. And also, I was on the 6th floor, and I was all the way at the end of an extremely long hallway that, like, if you're standing at one end of it looking down, it's almost like the hallway from The Shining, because it like looks like it's gonna take you 10 years to get to the end of that hallway. But as soon as you start walking, then it goes by pretty quickly, but still. So one of the ways that I got around the conference, this is another bit of advice, is because my shoulders and back can get sore pretty quickly from trying to lug things, and also, my arms from pulling my luggage from the parking lot into the hotel were very sore. So I know that if I had a backpack with me, and also like trying to like lug all the books that I was gonna buy around, would not have worked. So what I did was I invested in, it's gonna be hard to hold this up, but this is a crate. It's like foldable. Again, I will probably show you guys like an actual picture video of like this thing like all folded out. But that is a rolly crate. Technically it's meant for holding art supplies, but it works for books too. It has a 50-pound-ish weight limit, and it has a lid. That is probably your best friend. If you are someone who's like, I don't want to lug a backpack or like bags of books everywhere, this was perfect because I could put all of my stuff in it. So like stuff for taking notes. I could even put my little, like I had a fanny pack because I didn't want to carry a full purse. I put my water bottle in there and like all of my purchases, and I was basically hands-free, except for holding that little handle. So yeah, I would say there's still pros and cons to that crate, because I think opening it is a little bit difficult. You kind of have to get good at opening the lid and also making sure that it closes properly. But that thing was my best friend. And the good thing about this hotel, the St. Louis Union Station Hotel, is it is one of the most, it is one of the most wheelchair accessible places I have ever been to. And not gonna lie, I'm really thankful for that. I'm not a disabled person, I'm not paralyzed or anything, but it made me actually really happy for places like that, because there was lots of ramps everywhere. There was lots of elevators, so it's like I was definitely taking a lot of elevators and ramps. And obviously, like, if I was going out to dinner, or like I had left my crate in my hotel room, I would definitely still like take the stairs and stuff because I could, and also because it technically was still quicker in some areas of the hotel than just waiting for that elevator. But so, pros and cons, but I would say taking the crate was the best decision I ever made. I will say, make sure you're very, very careful, because you do not want to run anybody over with the crate. There's this one girl that I accidentally ran over her foot, but I don't know. I don't even know whose fault it was, because I was about to go. I had just come up from a ramp, after getting off an elevator, and I was about to go through the door, and like, so it was this girl and then like her friend, and her friend was opening the door for me, like she had like gestured to me, and I don't know if like this girl just was not paying attention, but I guess she had stepped forward, and like I was listening to my headphones, but like I clearly saw that like the friend was just like gesturing for me to go first, and accidentally ran over her foot, and like I profusely apologize. And what is very embarrassing for me is that I recognized the girl that I ran over with my cart from Instagram, because I guess we had been following each other. And I remember she had actually had a video on her Instagram talking about like, yeah, I'm gonna bring some fun like stickers and bookmarks to trade and like hand out to people, so like come and say hi to me. And I had actually commented on her video and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to meet you, like this looks so fun. And I recognized her. I don't know if she recognized me at all or anything, but I recognized her from her video. And I was so mortified that I like ignored her the rest of the conference, and I didn't have the courage to go and talk to her. Like, obviously I apologized like in the moment for like running her over with my cart, but then I quickly walked away as fast as humanly possible, and I was like, I can't talk to this girl after that. I can't ask like, can I have a sticker or a bookmark? I can't do that. So yeah, I was mortified from that. So yeah, sorry. I know I should have been braver and like, but I just yeah, anyway, it took me a while to get over that, because you know, when you're an introvert and you embarrass yourself like that, it's hard to get over. And the coffee is gone. No. So anyway, I hope that some of these tips have helped as we're getting close to an hour. I don't know if this video is actually I don't know. Are you guys enjoying this video? I haven't showed off anything. I'm mostly just talking. But mostly I kind of wanted to talk about like just to give advice on like, you know, if you're wanting to go to this thing, kind of how the schedule works, how the hotel works. I don't know. If you have any more questions that I can answer in a follow-up video, please ask them. I think like the final thing I will say, and this has specifically to do with the conference, one thing I will say, and this is a little bit of it's more like a critique feedback on the conference's part. I enjoyed my time. I loved the classes that I went to. I loved getting to go to the expo and talking to a lot of authors and stuff and meeting them. However, this is a note to the Realm Makers people. I don't know if anybody is watching at this point, but if there's anybody who knows the Realm Makers, like organizers or anybody, or like if you happen to be someone who is one of the organizers, like scheduling people, I don't know. Something I will say is, it was a bit of a logistical nightmare for me, especially as a first timer. And I don't know, maybe this is just an issue that first timers have, but it also seemed like something that a lot of other people dealt with is, I would say, and I know that like, so the writing conference is something that's separate and different from the expo, but I did not like that they basically took place at the same time. Because on one hand, I was like, I really want to go to these classes that I signed up to go to. And also, the good thing is, I will say, when you get a Realm Makers in-person ticket, you do get access to the recordings of all the other classes. So you're not just stuck going to like the 5 or 6 classes that you can attend in person. But I will say, even though I knew I could go back and watch the recordings of all those other classes, it was still really difficult trying to figure out which in-person class to go to. So that was really, really hard. And then there's also, you know, in the back of my mind, my brain was running a million miles a minute, basically, because I was like, oh, but I kind of want to go to this panel that has to, you know, that's a part of the expo. And from what I understand, the expo is not recorded. Like, any of those panels are not recorded. Although I did see like a camera in a few of the rooms with the panels, so maybe they are, I don't know. So I will say there was some things that were definitely should have been explained in a little bit more detail. And also I feel like it could have been scheduled better. Like, maybe, I don't know if it probably would cost more money, but maybe have the writing conference be the first 2 days and then the expo be the last 2 days. So that way people who go to the writing classes don't have to compromise on going to a panel that they really didn't want to miss at the expo. And then that way, we also have more time to shop at the expo and actually talk to people and visit rather than being late for our next writing class. I don't know. I feel like I know that they're two separate things, and so it's like you kind of have to pick and choose, but picking and choosing was really hard, and it was a lot. It was very confusing. It felt like a logistical nightmare. Yeah, so that's kind of my one complaint slash gripe slash rant is that maybe the scheduling could be done a little bit better. Gonna get off my soapbox on that one. And again, I know that, like, if you're watching this and you're like, well, how could we make it better? I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. I just know that there's kind of a problem, or at least there's a problem for me, and I just would like it to be maybe a little bit more easier, a little bit more simpler. Be nice if it was fixed. I don't know. My only idea is that maybe like have the writing conference on the first 2 days and then like have the last 2 days be the expo. So have it be, a 4-day thing instead of 3, and having that crossover, because it was like the 25th was like the conference, the writing conference. So that was pretty good. And then like Friday was like the last day technically of the writing conference. Sort of. Yeah, there was like, the last day of like the classes and stuff, but it was also the first day of the expo, and there was all these things going on that I wanted to go to at the same time. And also it meant that I didn't get to go to certain parts of the expo until Saturday, which was the last day of the expo. And we did have like a closing keynote for the writers conference on Saturday. But yeah, I didn't get to go to like a certain area. It was called Authors and Artists Alley in the expo. I didn't get to go to that until Saturday. And even then, because I just kept walking around the expo hall and then like going to other places, and like, yeah, so maybe schedule them as technically 2 different events that happen on their own days. I know that would cost more money, and you'd have to reserve more spaces at the hotel. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents, because especially for the people who want to go to everything, like they want to go to more expo stuff, but they also do want to do the writing conference. I don't know, maybe make it a little bit more simpler for, instead of thinking of those things as 2 separate things, and just crossing them over with each other, maybe let's just kind of, I don't know, make it more accommodating to the people who want to go to both, because if you're going to give the writers conference attendees VIP access to the expo, then make sure that they can actually enjoy the expo, is what I want to say. There we go. Soapbox moment over. I don't know if any of y'all are actually listening anymore after this, but those are my 2 cents. I don't know. I have a lot of sense to give. I don't know, I hope this helped. Again, if there's anything else that you're curious about that I did not cover, and I'm sure I didn't cover it, yeah, ask below. And because I do want to do a few different videos. I want to do a video where I show y'all the books that I got. I want to do a video where I show like kind of the little extra trinkets and things that I bought as well, because I didn't really get to show them off here. But yeah, and then I can maybe do a follow-up video where I talk more, like I can do a story time where first of all I can answer questions that you guys have for this video, and then I can also tell you some fun stories and like fun author encounters and like conversations that I got to have, because I got to talk to a lot of amazing people, and I got to have like a few like really special connections with some people at the conference that like I'm like that I got their numbers, I'm texting them, and I'm in conversation with them. Like, it's like I actually made a couple of friendships, I mean, I would say it's more like the acquaintance stage still, but like I made a couple of new friends, which made my heart happy. Yeah, it was really great. But yeah, and I haven't quite made the decision on whether or not I'm gonna go next year, because something I will say about that is, after experiencing both the conference and the expo together in tandem, I am a little bit wondering if I should just get the VIP expo ticket and not do the conference, so that way I can just experience the expo for myself, because it was a lot. It was a lot, Robin, to try to do all the things, because like, but if I got like the expo like VIP ticket, that means that like I could still technically go to some of the writers conference stuff. Like I could go to like the awards dinner, which I didn't even talk about the awards dinner, which was really cool. Which if you're curious, the awards dinner is like kind of like the Oscars of the book world in a way. But it's like this whole fancy dinner that you get to have. They have like a whole costume parade so you can dress up for it, which this year, I had thought about bringing like my Belle costume, because I do have a couple of costumes that I handmade that are based off of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, but I just didn't want to pack all that in my suitcase, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't this year. I just dressed in a cute little dress, and I had like a fairy crown that I DIY'd, which I will, you know, again, I'll have a short form video where I talk about that. But the awards dinner was really fun. That's where I got to meet my first new friend. Her name is Ronelle. So sweet, so kind. She was dressed up as Wendy from Peter Pan. She had like fairy dust all over her, and I was in like my cute dress and like fairy crown and stuff. And it was cool just watching people like at the costume parade, and then like they had a whole award ceremony after dinner, which the dinner was amazing. They had the whole awards ceremony where it was like, okay, the nominees for best in like sci-fi, best in fantasy. And what's cool is like these are all books from Christian authors getting to have their books nominated for these awards, for the Realm Awards. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was really cool. And like I think like if you get the VIP ticket to the expo, you get a ticket to the dinner, I believe. I don't know if you have to like add that to the price or not, but as a conference attendee, I got already the ticket to the award dinner. But if I did go next year, I would definitely want to go to the awards dinner again and actually dress up and be a part of the costume parade, because that was really cool. It was cool because like a lot of people cosplayed as like, you know, characters from like different fandoms and stuff, but there was a lot of people who cosplayed as characters from their own books, like their own works in progress, which made me really happy to see that. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this video before it gets any longer. I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you have any questions about just like the scheduling of the conference, or just like, you know, just any questions in general, let me know and I'll try to answer that in my next video. I want to do a video that, first of all, that I show you kind of all the things that I bought, like souvenirs and stuff and books, obviously. And then I also do want to do a video where I kind of tell you a story time, which that'll kind of happen with my book haul, because I kind of have a story for each book that I bought, because I had a fun interaction with each author pretty much that I bought from. So that was cool. And then I just have so much swag, because that was another thing, is like so many authors gave away so much swag at this conference. Like they were like, you know, like even if you didn't buy anything, it was like, here, take a bookmark, take a business card. Oh, here's a free sticker. Here's like, you know, a free like 3D printed dragon for signing up for my newsletter. Like that's a little hint at what I have gotten. But yeah, it was just cool stuff like that. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this little kind of introductory, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this introductory video to Realm Makers, and I will see you in the next one. I love you guys. Bye.